Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we chat with founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this latest episode. We've got a great show lined up for you today with none other than Kerry Song, founder of Abbot's Butcher. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more. So today, I'm particularly excited to welcome Kerry Song from Abbot, actually. And it's because Kerry and I have worked together in the past, and I know her passion, and she's been influential in our lives in choosing to go all in on food and beverage. So Kerry's got a great story. She was a Princeton grad who traded in her corporate finance hat for a chance to make a meaningful impact. After a stint at Morgan Stanley, Kerry's passion for animal welfare and desire for a socially conscious career led her to Tony Robbins' marketing team. And after a life-changing autoimmune diagnosis, Kerry decided to reevaluate her diet and sparked the idea to make the world better with Abbot, a plant-based haven for those creating hearty favorites without compromising on clean, wholesome ingredients, or as Kerry says it, just wants to be a part of people's protein portfolio. Welcome to the show, Kerry. Great to see you.
Thanks, Duncan. So happy to see you again.
I'm so happy, Kerry. I mean, let me say, in terms of the creative spark, let's kick off with the fun stuff. What ignited the spark behind the journey with Abbott? So what made you think like, yes, this is it. I'm diving into clean, plant-rich protein products?
I think it was really my own frustration with the space and the meat alternatives that were available to me. Unfortunately, the story and the impetus behind Abbott's is not so fun. It really stemmed from my own health issues. I was diagnosed with a really serious autoimmune issue. And was in the hospital for 3 years, every 8 weeks, getting an infusion medication that was an immunosuppressant. And so it was really, really difficult. I just felt terrible all the time. Like a cold would turn into a flu for me, lost half my hair, lost 30 pounds, and just was really a shadow of myself for a really long time. And, after so many different medications and landing on one that quote unquote worked, yes, my immune system wasn't attacking itself anymore, but at the same time, I was sick all the time and just felt terrible. And so doctors were telling me, you're going to have to be on this medication the rest of your life, which was terrifying. So I thought, what can I do to take back control over my health? And the more I started to dive into research about my immune system, the more I learned about the importance of gut health. And the more I learned about gut health, all roads led to diet. There's so many factors that do impact your microbiome, but diet, like food, is something you're putting in your body every single day. And so it has a direct and immediate impact on your gut flora. And so I started to look at the foods I was eating and read every single ingredient on the label. And there were so many ingredients. I'm like, I can't even pronounce this, let alone have any idea what it's doing to my body. And this was especially true with meat and dairy alternatives. And I saw things like soy isolate. Had no idea what that was. Had no idea it uses hexane to isolate the soy protein, which is a carcinogen. Canola oils, really inflammatory seed oils, methylcellulose, maltodextrin, yeast extract, and even natural flavors, these things that are seemingly harmless that actually are full of chemicals and they're incredibly inflammatory to your system, that I just stood no chance of healing if I was going to keep eating. And so I just made the decision, okay, I need to cut all these ultra processed foods out of my diet. And I adopted a whole foods plant-based diet. And so it was months of vegetables and fruits and legumes and grains. But ultimately, I was very challenged by getting protein. There's only so many black bean burgers and lentil loaves you can eat before you're like, I'm so over this. And I thought, There needs to be more plant protein options that have the taste and texture I'm craving, but are made with ingredients that not only understand, but actually nourish my body and will help me heal. And so that's really why I started Habits.
I'm so glad you did it. I'm so glad you did it. You remind me of another guest, Arshad Bal from Amrita Foods, whose son was, deeply, deeply ill. And he was so moved. He started cooking and preparing products from scratch for his son. And his son is healthy today, 20 years later. And
Amazing.
I'm so glad that people like you go out and make the world better. Let me ask you this. I remember years ago you saying to me, Duncan, we're not trying to get, it was the equivalent of this. We're not trying to get people to change their religion. We're trying to get them to eat some plant-based protein, to put plant-based protein into the protein mix for them. Is that still the case?
100%. Actually, most of our customers, they're not vegans and vegetarians, they're flexitarians, and they're still eating, your wild caught salmon, your pasture raised eggs, grass-fed beef. They're just looking to cut back on meat or animal products a couple days a week, and they don't want to have to sacrifice either their health or nutrition. Sorry, light goes off automatically in here. And so, for us, it's really about how do we fold our products really seamlessly into their routines and, be in their basket alongside all those other products. And like I said earlier, like be part of their whole protein portfolio where they're having really nutrient dense plant proteins alongside everything else they choose to eat.
That's and I think one of the things that I remember, from early in your company's journey is that the flavors have always, kind of felt like a taste adventure. What is it that you all do? What's, I guess, the inside scoop on how your food is so flavorful?
Yeah, so we do not use natural flavors, which is a complete misnomer. The only natural part about natural flavors is really that they have to be derived from a natural animal or plant source. Outside of that, you can layer in any sort of chemical you want, which makes it almost identical to artificial flavors. The only difference with artificial flavor is it can be derived from a petroleum-based origin. So natural flavors, like to get like natural beef flavor, natural chicken flavor, it's all chemicals. It's incredibly bad for your microbiome. And so we thought, how do we develop flavor from scratch ingredients? So when we looked at the products, we're not trying to mimic ground beef, for example. We don't need it to bleed. People don't need it to have that like metallic taste that beef has. We're saying, what do people really enjoy about ground beef? Oh, that earthy umami flavor, the way it browns and crisps up nicely in a pan. And how do we create that using porcini mushroom and onion and garlic and balsamic vinegars and real ingredients that not only give you that really satisfying umami flavor, but are actually like helping heal you from the inside out. So every SKU that we have, like the chorizo is another great example. We use an imported Spanish smoked paprika from a certain it's called the Vera region of Spain, where they grow these peppers. We use chipotle peppers, we use onion, we use garlic and tomato, red wine vinegar. So we just layer really complex flavors on top of each other, but starting with really just like beautiful ingredients.
That's the key then, is starting with beautiful ingredients.
100%. We put a lot of time and effort and scrutiny into our supply chain to make sure it's not only like the taste and all the organoleptics are there, but also just the quality, the story, like where the farms it's coming from, everything about it is really, really, there's a lot of thought and time and care put into it.
It's your canvas. I love that you paint the way you do. And then as far as the ingredients go, so you're very focused on things that are natural. You're focused on, as you said, beautiful ingredients. How does it then? What happens next? Like between do you pick the outcome first and then go after the ingredients, or do you say, hey, look at all these amazing ingredients? What am I going to do with it? Walk us through what happens in the development process after that.
Yeah, it's sort of a hybrid. I mean, take for example our new whole burger, which is a high protein veggie burger. We started with this concept. Okay, we worked with it with Whole Foods, so they were our exclusive launch partner for this product. And they said, we want another burger. What can you do for us? We said, well, we're not going to do a meat analog. There's already plenty of, the Beyonds and Impossibles, and we don't believe that people need a product to look, taste, need, and bleed like meat. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have traditional veggie patties, which are certainly healthier, but they might lack that craveability and they probably also lack a lot of protein. So, how do we give people a really meaty, delicious, hearty, rich experience, but use whole ingredients and use like all vegetables, make it full of fresh vegetables? Then let's pack it with protein, let's pack it with superfoods, and let's just make it a really great experience of like that tender, hearty bite. And so when we think about that, we think, okay, how do we start with, we kind of know some of the ingredients we want to use. We know how we want to, we're not going to use methyl cellulose, for example. Methyl cellulose is a binder. That's why you'll see it in so many products. And if you see it in person, it's like this chemical powder that people mix with water and create a slurry that looks like sludge, literally. And that's what they'll put in the product because it gives that bounce. It helps bind it, gives it nice springiness. For us, we use chia seeds, we use flax seeds, we use cassava root, and chickpea and oats. We knew we wanted to pack it with spinach and parsley. We developed flavor using onion and garlic and smoked paprika and cumin and sea salt versus iodized salt. We wanted to pack it with mushrooms because they have a nice meaty bite. We put in pea protein for extra protein punch. We use avocado oil. So everything we do is not only for flavor, it's also for function.
That's amazing. The thought that goes into this. I know that peas play a large role, and you're sourcing. You were mentioning earlier some of the things you're sourcing, whether it's aromatics or vinegars, but everything is sort of carefully considered. Everything is serving multiple purposes. Not only is it hitting the flavor, but it's also going into what it does from a sum of the parts standpoint. It's all coming together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really interesting, and you mentioned the superfoods too. So when you think of our kids, right? It's like what I don't know that earlier generations had to even deal with this, right? But what are your thoughts on what should we be telling our kids about food these days, right? Because there's so much bad shit out there, and they want to go to McDonald's, and if you're lucky, I'm lucky. My kid's like, Papa, it tastes like shit. He doesn't say shit. He says, Papa, it tastes terrible. I don't want to go to McDonald's, right? He still wants to go to Chick-fil-A, but what are your thoughts on what should we tell our kids about what's in the food?
That's a really good question. I think like educating them from very as early on as possible of like what's an everyday food and like what's a sometimes food. Like you don't ever want to tell anyone anything is like completely off limits. I think you want to like give people the power just to make the decisions. And yes, kids, right, could decide to eat, candy every single day if it was up to them. So I think it's really important to show people, especially kids, the power of like not only what you eat for how it tastes, but like how you feel afterwards and growing up like, big and strong and really nourishing your body and taking care of yourself. And just getting them to, be familiar with healthy foods. So my son's only 18 months, but I mean, we expose him just a ton of different foods, spices, herbs, from the very beginning. I think my mom would always crack up because I would like blend peas, but then add in a bunch of fresh herbs and fresh lemon just to try to get him exposed to different flavors. And also just to get him to like love food and be excited about it. And I also, we have like one of those little stools he can stand on, those learning towers. So he'll come and he'll just like watch me cook and he doesn't help yet, but he likes to just play there and like watch. And I think just getting him involved, getting him in the kitchen, being part of like seeing how his food is made, he gets a little more excited about it. But I agree with you. It's so frustrating to walk the stores and see brands with really clever marketing that make it seem like it's healthy and it's anything but. And it's especially infuriating when they do that around kids' foods because, I mean, the problem is not just with meat alternatives. I want to be clear about that. The problem is systemic around the entire grocery store, where there are brands that just use shortcuts. Natural flavors is a shortcut. There's a ton of preservatives out there, tons of additives, crappy oils, crappy flours, GMO ingredients that really are making us all sick. I mean, there's a reason that 60% of Americans have a chronic illness, which is so sad because I think if people really understood that food is information and that is power. So what are you feeding yourself every day? This is the medicine that you're putting in your body every day, or it could be your poison. And it's really, your decision about how you want to approach that.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right. I think that you have to look. I remember that quote from you actually from years ago where you said like, I don't want to eat it if I can't pronounce it. If I can't pronounce it and it's good for me, I'm going to research it first. But it's a cue to me that I can't pronounce it. Like, what's going on here? Why are we using so many things like that? And there's this need to, like you're doing with your son, to bring our kids into the food preparation process, to let them know that the kitchen is an important place to eat together, to have a conversation, at least one meal a day, five, you don't have to do it 7 days a week, but at least 5 days a week to have that kind of community experience around food. And I also remember you saying, or I don't know if you said it, but I remember taking away from you the fact that food is not binary. It's not like there's tasty food and there's healthy food.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And Abbott's is a living example of the fact that you can, be healthy, you can take care of your well-being, and it can taste great. And you were talking about the umami, it's got that craveability. I think that's a key part of your philosophy.
Absolutely. I think the tastiest food in the world just comes from the most beautiful ingredients. We're really fortunate to be able to have like garden beds in our backyard. We just like planted a blueberry bush this past weekend, but it's really fun to be able to teach Robbie about how we can grow our own food and like let him pick the produce and then bring that into the kitchen. Like his favorite thing to do is go pick lemons and then, we bring that in and we'll squeeze it all over his, lunch, and he gets really excited about that. So I think just any little ways that you can just involve them and, teach them about fresh, beautiful ingredients is just going to help.
That's super cool. I have an interesting kind of like adjacent question. You all have so many great, I guess, badges or symbols of your approach, whether it's non-GMO or vegan or Whole30. How useful is it to that to have those, and also how expensive is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. We really ask ourselves, I mean, this is with everything that we do, like, what do our customers really care about? Like, what matters to them? And I think like getting non-GMO project verification was an absolute must. And then, vegan certified, just to make people very clear, like we put the right practices in, everything, that we ever make will always be plant rich. All of our products are actually also completely allergen free. There's no soy, there's no gluten, no nuts, etc. And then Whole30 has been really a great partner for us because there are a lot of people that do follow the Whole30 practices. And it's great for them to also know, oh, here's, we were the first plant protein to join Whole30 to be actually like awarded that. And so it's great for them to also have other options outside of animal proteins that they could start to incorporate into their routine. Expensive, I think, it does cost a little bit, but I think it's so worth it just to really give your customers the peace of mind.
That's a great answer. Thank you. And I think that it's in our world, it's like, it's like how long you've been in business, how many customers you had, but people want to know like, hey, is it legit? And that's a very easy way for them to form that legit connection. On the
Mhm.
R&D side, what's that like? Is it a uphill battle? Is it a roller coaster? What's it like cooking up these new products?
The burger was especially difficult. That one took us over a year, because, for us to get the right bite, and then the right protein levels and using all these fresh vegetables, it was just a big challenge, and nothing like this had been made yet. So being able to also find like the right equipment to scale it, because doing something on bench tops can be totally different than scaling it. You will have one recipe for making this, in a small little commercial kitchen, like a, 50-pound batch. To turn that into 1,000-pound batches or 2,000, et cetera, it's a completely different ballgame. The recipe will change. You just have to be flexible and know you're going to have to adapt on the fly. But that's been the biggest challenge, for our company. I mean, scaling these products, it's not been an easy feat because, if you're going to go make a cracker, right, there's equipment out there. It's tried and true practices. Same thing with like soups or hummus, right? But when you're doing things that haven't been done before and you're having to use equipment that might be traditionally used for something else, it just can throw a wrench in it and take a long time. But fortunately, we also have an amazing ops team that has been instrumental in scaling all the products, but then not only now scaling without sacrificing quality, but like continuing to add automation and improve and scale. We're constantly, scaling and looking to improve throughput. So I think finding the right ops team and is absolutely critical to that.
And in terms of like, when you're eating your own delicious creations, what are your
Mhm.
favorites to eat?
It depends on the week. Um, I'm really into the chorizo right now. I just love crisping it up and getting a little char on it and putting it on salads, or I do like just a siete tortilla, throw the chorizo in there, a bunch of greens and pico, and it's just a dinner in 10 minutes. I don't have a lot of time to cook. Um, and because it's so flavorful, it's just great, packs a punch, and husband loves it too, and also get a lot of protein. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the week and what I'm feeling like, but all our products have a special place in my heart.
I've been a long time consumer of the chorizo. I think what makes it especially interesting is, my wife can eat it because it's gluten free, but it also is soy free, and it tastes really good. And as you were saying, it's that crisping it up makes all the difference.
Totally. Yes, getting that like slight char on it, so it's like crispy bits. Oh, so good.
And tell us, what are you excited about right now? What's coming up? Are there new products coming up, or you got some new things you're working on?
Yeah, well, we just launched the burger exclusively with Whole Foods. We will be launching the burger at other retailers starting this summer, after our exclusive is up with Whole Foods. We just launched the burger to a few food service chains. We're having a big kickoff party in LA to celebrate it. Launched the beef and Sprouts. Like Sprouts has always carried our chorizo and our chicken, but launched the beef there this month. We're launching in Wegmans in May, which is great because that was a store that was like closest to our college campus. So um, it's kind of cool that we're going to be there now. And just I think just continuing to grow with all of our amazing retail partners. So it's been exciting.
That's so cool, Kerry. And you've been doing this for a minute. What do you say
Mhm.
to people that are, like a year in or thinking about getting in, or they're experiencing some local success and they're thinking about the next level? What sort of things do you say to those founders?
I honestly think the thing that really helped me a lot was never like looking too far out. I think it's important to know where you want to go, but there's so many steps to get there. It's just focus on the next step, focus on the next retailer, the next partner, Constantly be open to listening to your customers and not falling so in love with your product that you're not open to innovating it. The products that we have today are vastly different than the ones we started with. We believe in constant, never-ending improvement and innovation. So subtle tweaks here and there. I'm always looking. I'm probably a little bit of a perfectionist in that respect, but always thinking we can do better. We can do better. And so I think just being open to that, but like one foot in front of the other. I think something that really helped me was the amount of naivety I probably had in the early days about knowing how hard it is. I don't think I could ever start another food company. It is very difficult, knowing what I know now. But like, I think just having really, to be frank, like not a ton of ideas like what I was doing and what was right or what was wrong, what is typically done, what's not. I think just doing whatever I had to do to be scrappy and gritty served us well, because we weren't afraid to kind of like step outside the box. And, I mean, our first retailer, we got it because I showed up at their corporate office and knocked on the door and asked to speak to the buyer. I didn't realize back then, that's not how you do it. I think the buyer was so shocked herself that she just took the meeting, and I asked her if we could cater lunch. And so I'm like, oh, this is pre-COVID. She's like, who's going to turn down lunch? And I literally, my mom came with me. We served everybody lunch, and they said, love it, brought us into all 9 stores. And that was like how we got our first retailer. Had I known, would I do that now with the version of me today? I mean, sure, but like, I'm glad I didn't know that that's not typical.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really valuable lesson. So just to kind of recap it, don't overwhelm yourself with thinking about where you're going to be, down try to get the next step done.
Totally. I mean, back then, we weren't non-GMO project certified. We had the vegan certification, but like we didn't have everything that we have today. It's just, you have to work in phases and in steps, and not everything that is like critical for us today was critical in the beginning, because we were just trying to find product market fit, trying to grow our small footprint. I remember back in the day when someone told me like, oh yeah, we're in 100 stores, and like, whoa, that's huge. Today we're in like 4,500, and I still know I'm like, we have a ways to go, but like things will change over time. You get different contexts, as far as like your metrics, your rates of expansion, and just focus on like where you're at one step at a time, and, just do whatever it takes. Get scrappy.
And Kerry, you have you're leading a very full life. You have a partner and a young boy. How do you take care of yourself in all of this?
What's funny? I think I've become a lot better at it, which sounds crazy given that I have almost zero time these days. But when I look back pre-Robbie, my son's 18 months now. My husband also has a startup. So we were very prone to just working night and day. Date nights would be like us together at on our computers at the same table. We'd work all weekends. We would give things up just to be, we were working probably like 70-hour weeks, minimum. And yes, I worked out a ton. I was very careful about what I ate, but I don't think I had a good work-life balance. I think I was so consumed. Now I'm absolutely still consumed, but I wake up really early to make sure I get my workout in. That sets me up like mentally for the day. And then, from 5 to 7:30, I turn off my phone, I turn off my computer. That's my time to spend with my son. Once he goes down, we have dinner together and then work again, but I still feel like there's a lot more balance, especially because that time with my husband and my son is just so important to me. And like, I see, you become a lot more aware of how quickly time passes when you have a kid. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know how the past 18 months have flown by like this. And so I just want to make sure I'm there for him and he knows how important he is for me. But then also like my job, what we're building is incredibly important to me. And so also showing him that, both of these things can exist at the same time. But I think I'm a lot better at it now, in creating boundaries and being more efficient with how I spend my time. I think it's a lot healthier than it used to be.
I mean, I think that what I can completely resonate with you is that urgency around that protected time, right? It's
Hmm.
like that is your time with Robbie, and ain't no one gonna come between you and that time, you know.
No.
And I think that people actually, I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do a 4 o'clock meeting. They're like, well, why not? And I said, because I got to go pick my kid up. Like that's the most important thing that I'm doing today, to pick my kid up, and we're going to get a muffin, and then we're going to cook dinner and hang out, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I have no, I mean, I walked away from boards, I walked away from committees, and there's a lot of things I don't do socially because that is it. It's like you have a limited amount that you can really do well, right? And so
Yeah.
I think,
And 100%. I tell that to my team too. It doesn't just go for me. I mean, we have team members who start their day a little earlier. We have someone that starts at 6 and, he wraps at 3. The rule for everybody is like, please still be available for any emergency, or if there's like a high priority meeting, of course he'll be available. But like he does that so he can also spend time with his daughter and help out picking her up from school. We're totally fine with that. It's getting the work done, being efficient with your time. And it's like no one on our team, I think it's also just like the culture that we've built and how we hire, but no one just kind of like checks boxes and gets things done. Everyone is like thinking steps ahead, creating new SOPs, trying to make sure that we're running as efficiently and effectively as possible. How can we constantly be better? But I think there's a way to do that, but then still prioritize family. I think if you're not filling up your cup and like prioritizing like your sense of wellness and your family, you're certainly not going to be able to show up your best to your job. Um, and I think everybody here too at our company is really mission driven for one reason or another. It could be animal welfare, could be sustainability. It's also, health and wellness and like the power of food. And so I think that also really helps people feel a little more invested, and also understand the importance of just taking care of yourself. Um,
and I think it's critical, especially when you're a founder and a product and a company that says and produces certain things, that your team be in on that as well, so that you're sort of holistic in your approach and everyone's bought into not just the mission but the lifestyle. I mean, I remember years ago saying, hey, I don't really like showing up at 9 o'clock. Sometimes I'll be there at 9:30, sometimes I'll be there at 8:30, sometimes I'll be there at 10. So no one else got to do it either, and
mhm.
your work, get your things done. That's really great, Kerry. And one of the things I wanted to let our listeners know is, of course, abbots.com to find all of the Abbott's products. But one of the things I wanted to draw people's attention to is a recipe page. The
Mm.
recipe page is got things for the holidays. It's got Whole30. It's got 20 minutes. It's got some recipes of the month. There's lots of, what was the philosophy behind that? Because that seems like that is such an incredibly helpful resource.
Yeah, I think our products are so incredibly versatile and lend themselves to so many different types of cuisine and just different times of the day, different times of the year. So how do we help our customers get outside of, their routine? Average American has 9 recipes that they know by heart that are on heavy rotation. And, we want to show people how easy it can be to make a paella or make like a really nice like smoked chorizo chili. Just ideas, and then accessibility. We have some that are definitely more involved recipes for like a Sunday supper, but then we have a lot that are like 5 ingredients or less, like quick weeknight meals, very, very like nutrient dense dishes that the whole family could love.
I love it. Kerry, thank you so much. And, I just want to say, having known you for many years and reconnecting with you today, that, I've greatly admired the work that you do, to make the world better, and the way you practice your life, and the things you say. It has made the world better, and thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, Duncan. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
And so, just to confirm again, where all can people find you?
Yeah, we're at pretty much all natural retailers, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Fresh Market, Fresh Time, Natural Grocers, all the regional shops as well, Erewhon, Moms, Mothers. We're also at Target, and then we're also at Publix, and then we're at quite a few restaurants. But you can always go to our store locator on our website and see the store closest to you.
I think the thing that I want to just echo what Kerry said is that no one's saying that you got to abandon meat, but what we are doing and what I do as well is we are incorporating more plant protein into our lives. So I think that's the opportunity there, and that's a wrap for today. Huge thank you to you, Kerry, for sharing your incredible journey with us and giving us a taste of the amazing work that's happening at Abbott's. If you remember, everyone, check out their website, abbots.com. Follow them on social. They're very active on social. Remember, keep serving those clean, plant-rich bites that nourish you, both your body and your soul. So until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep spreading the plant-based love, everyone. This is Duncan signing off from the Firebelly Social Show. Catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.